ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् जय गुरुदेव। ॐ श्री कृष्ण परमात्मने नमः। अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता षोडशोऽध्यायः दैवासुरसम्पद्विभागयोगः। श्रीभगवानुवाच इदमद्य मया लब्धम् इदं प्राप्स्ये मनोरथम् इदमस्तीदमपि मे भविष्यति पुनर्धनम्. So continuing from where we left yesterday, today this is gained by me. I will gain this that is pleasing to the mind. This wealth I have. This wealth also I will have later. So they think. The pattern of thinking is very calculating. Such a person is conscious of what wealth he has today in the form of money and property, both movable and immovable. Every day he counts what he has gathered and he measures it against his plan for all the things he has to accomplish to please his mind, Manoratha. He has a day-to-day plan, a weekly plan, a monthly plan, an annual plan to gather what he thinks he needs to please himself. He adds up the wealth he has. Idam dhanam asti me. I have this wealth. And calculates how much he will have later according to his plans. And says, idam dhanam api me bhavishyati punaha. This wealth also I will have later. In this verse, our corporate philosophy is articulated very well. The whole aim is to accumulate wealth with an eye on their current assets. Corporate magnates plan for further profit and aspire to build huge corporations with astronomical holdings. But to get this wealth is not easy because there are other asuras out there in the market that they have to contend with. Naturally, They have to destroy some people, but that is not a problem for them. Asau maya hata shatruhu hanishe chaparanapi Ishvaro hamaham bhogi siddhoham balavan sukhi. This enemy is destroyed by me, and I will destroy others also. I am the ruler. I am the enjoyer. I am successful, powerful, and happy. I am the Lord of all that I survey. This is their thinking. Boasting, this enemy was my competitor and who was standing in my way, I have eliminated. He celebrates that destruction with a few others like himself. Then there are others also, and he declares, I will destroy them too. Hanishyecha aparanapi. Shankara calls these others, whom this person plans to destroy, as varakas, pitiable people. Such a person is like the current day loan sharks who take advantage of people's vulnerability. They do not mind ruining even poor people to get money from them because the only goal is to amass wealth. When this type of mentality rules the economy, the poor become poorer and the rich become richer. Because of this Asuri disposition, are willing to destroy not only their competitors who are their equals, but also those who are poor, who do not compete with them. Their opinion of themselves is that there is no one equal to them. Such a person was personified in Hiranyakashipu, Prahlada's father, who told his son, I am Ishvara, there is no Lord other than me. And he reprimanded Prahlada for chanting the name of Lord Narayana. The thinking of such a person is that he is the Lord of all the people and everybody should look up to him. He will dole out their wages according to the work they have done. And he considers that he is the one who should have all the enjoyments at his feet. So he says, Aham bhogi. Then again, whichever way he looks at himself, he considers himself successful, siddha, accomplished. Because of his wealth, people quote his friendship. And further, Shankara adds, he has sons. If one has wealth and no sons, he is not considered successful because there is no one to carry on the family name. Thus, he considers himself rich in every way. He has children, grandchildren, and all his relatives around him, besides the people who work for him. One may have all this but still not be able to enjoy any of it because of physical ailments. If you have stomach ulcers or are deaf or in a wheelchair, what can you enjoy? But not this person. He is Sukhi. All his senses and physiological functions are active, and therefore he considers himself the happiest person. Again, it is possible to have all this but lack power and influence, and therefore be harassed by the authorities. When a person uses any means to acquire his wealth, he can be in a lot of trouble. All the judges and senators must be with him. And since this person sees that they are, he boasts that he is powerful, Balavan. What about others? Shankara says that he considers that they only add weight to the earth. They have no stature and are not worth reckoning in his view. Further, he boasts, Adyo bhijanavaanasmi कोऽन्योऽस्ति सदृशो मया यक्ष्ये दास्यामि मोदिष्य इत्यज्ञानविमोहिताः. Those who are totally deluded due to lack of discrimination say, I have wealth. I was born in a very good family. Who else is there who is equal to me? I will perform rituals. I will give. I will enjoy. There is no one equal to me. This is their attitude. Adhya here is the one who has wealth, though in a different context, it could also mean one who is praiseworthy. The only merit of the person under discussion here, however, is that he has made some money. He may think he is praiseworthy and even write a book on how to be successful in life, out of which he will, of course, make more money. But whether he writes a book or not, he proclaims, I am wealthy. And whether it is true or not, he also boasts, I am born in a very good family. Abhija, Abhijanavanasvi. What kind of a family? Shankara says, it is a family that has had very well informed scholars for 7 generations. Sapta Purusham Shrotriyavadi Sampannaha. Even if it is true, what good has it done him? The person is an asura. This person is an asura. Everybody in India will claim to be born in the lineage of a sage, Gotra. But if he is an asura in terms of his behavior, his family background is meaningless. Such claims are made by these people just to establish their superiority. The idea is no one can claim to have more than me, even in terms of family background. And it is not only a mute idea, it is openly expressed as who else is there equal to me? Kaha anyaha asti maya sadrishaha. Meaning, of course, that there is nobody. Further, he brags, I will perform rituals. The purpose is not for anything noble, but to destroy some enemy or at least gain some fame. Like all his other actions, this also is only for his own glorification. He wants to stand out and overpower people, and he does not mind using rituals for that purpose. Ravana did great tapas only for the destruction of others. He was a Brahmana who used to chant Samaveda, a very religious person in some respects. But because he did everything only to gain power to destroy, he was a Rakshasa. He also promises, I will give money, dasyami, not for charitable causes, but for dancing girls and other enjoyments, or to establish his own superiority, because he says, I will enjoy modishye. He seeks his pleasure in hundreds of different ways, with grand parties, a swimming pool, and all the comforts he can command. Such people are totally deluded, vimohita, all due to lack of discrimination, ajnana. Ajnanena vimohitaha. The manner in which they look upon themselves and their life achievements indicates one delusion after another stemming from confused values and attitudes. अनेकचित्तविभ्रान्ता मोहजालसमावृताः प्रसक्ताः कर्मभोगेषु पतन्ति नरकेषु च. Those who are completely deluded by many types of thoughts, covered by the net of delusion, that is, lack of discrimination, and totally committed to the enjoyment of desirable objects, fall into the unclean naraka, places of pain. Those who are thus deluded go to naraka. From the manner in which these asuras are described here, we understand the nature of their thinking. They are completely deluded by varieties of thoughts, aneka chitta vibhranta, in the form of concerns, anxieties, desires, anger, and so on. They are caught and covered by the net of delusion caused by lack of discrimination. Moha jala samavritaha. A net both covers and catches an object. As an animal gets caught in a net, people get caught in the spell of ignorance, ajnana, which means here, failure to discriminate. That being the case, they are totally committed, prasaktaha, to the enjoyment of objects of their desires, kama bhogeshu. They are deeply entrenched in the experiences of these desirable objects. Since the commitment is to fulfilling desires, they will certainly compromise the means and thus accumulate a lot of papa. As a result, they fall into naraka, which is best understood as a place of pain. The word fall, patanti, is used here because nobody wants to go there. They slip helplessly into pain. There are different types of narakas, but like heaven, they are only temporary. Any field of experience is temporary, whether it is painful or pleasant. So we have to understand that there is no eternal hell or heaven. Atma sambhavita dhanamanamadhanvitaha yajante nama yajnaiste dambhena vidhipurvakam. Those who are self-glorifying, vain, conceited, filled with pride and arrogance because of their wealth, perform rituals that are rituals in name only, not according to stipulations, but out of pretension. They look upon themselves as endowed with all the noble attributes, Atma Sambhavitaha, and speak of themselves in this way. Even though they do not have the virtues, they praise themselves as people possessed of divine virtues. They proclaim themselves as wonderful, do not have any respect for the people who are qualified to evaluate their merits. Naturally, they are very vain, stand demanding praise from others, and at the same time, themselves not able to bend down to anyone, either physically or mentally. Their own lack of humility and lack of respect for others prevents them from bending down to anyone else. As a result, they have no reverence for anything. Even if God were to appear to such people, they would not surrender unto him nor offer their devotion because they consider themselves as Ishvara. Though they do not respect anyone else, they think everyone should respect them. They are filled with pride because of their wealth. Dhana mana madanvitaha. Mana, as we have seen, is the attitude, I am to be worshipped, and mada is arrogance born of one's wealth, conceitedness. And they also perform rituals, which are rituals in name only. Yajante nama yajnaihi. When you perform a ritual, you must have shraddha. and follow the procedures prescribed by the Vedas. The technical term used in the Shastra for the prescribed rules of any ritual is iti kartavyata. This iti kartavyata is given in great detail in the Veda itself, along with each ritual, and all the rules have to be followed meticulously. But the rituals done by them are not done according to the stipulations. They are avidhi purvakam. Why do they do them? Because of pretension, dambhena. Their aim is only self glorification, self promotion, showing off oneself as someone who does all the rituals. Since there is some fire involved, something offered, and some giving away of food, etc., it is called a ritual. And it is not really a ritual unless all the rules specified by the Veda are followed. Even if all the rules are not followed, but there is adequate Shraddha, it is acceptable. But here, there is no Shraddha either. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham cha samshritaha mamatma paradeheshu pradvishantobhyasuyakaha. Those who are completely given to egoism, brute strength, insolence, enjoyment, and anger, who despise me in their own and others' bodies, who are great cavillers. Tanaham dvishatah kruran samsareshu naradhaman क्षिपाम्यजस्रमशुभान् आसुरीष्वेव योनिषु. Those men who are hateful and cruel, who are the lowest of men, who are wrongdoers, I dispatch repeatedly into a life of transmigration only in Asuri wombs. I dispatch them into Asuri yonis again and again. All these people are completely given to these things. Samshritaha. Ahankara is what accounts for the sense of individuality. In general, it is in the form of a superimposition of kartritva, the sense of agency, and bhoktritva, the sense of enjoyership upon Atma that is responsible for this individuality. So, based on this superimposition, one concludes that he is a sukhi, a happy person, or dukhi, an unhappy person. The notions which are superimposed upon the Atma and which have their root in Ahankara are the basis for all our problems and drive all our pursuits, both legitimate and questionable. But in the sense in which it is used here, there is a lot of subjectivity involved, and it is therefore very well entrenched. Because it is well entrenched and given a lot of validity, there is egoism which makes these men cruel, cruel people. And these people have bala, strength of the body, mind, etc., a brute strength that serves only to trouble others. Shankara says it is a strength which is backed by their raga dveshas, that is used to overpower others. Parabhava nimittam kama raga anvitam. And they have darpa, insolence, which makes them cross the bounds of what is proper or improper. Being committed to objects of enjoyment, kama, naturally there will be anger, krodha, when they are not fulfilled. Once this type of ahankara is there, these few things, darpa, kama, and krodha will automatically come along with it. It is like a kingpin in the underworld. Wherever he goes, you will find his henchmen. Here, Darpa, Kama, and Krodha are the henchmen of the well entrenched Rajas predominant Ahankara of this type. Even if such people come to know that all the things they are pursuing will not help them gain what they really want, and that there is only Parameshwara indwelling their own and other bodies, knowing whom their problem will be solved, they oppose and despise that very one who obtains in their own body, as well as in all other bodies, as Satchidananda. That being so, that is, despising Parameshwara, Pradvishantaha, they transgress the universal mandates of Ishvara. There is one footnote here. So, this Bala that they have, Bala is unlike the one that Bhagavan said was himself when he said, Balam Balavatam Chaham Kama Raga Vivarchitam, the 7th chapter. There, Bhagavan refers to the strength that is without Kama and Raga. What is to be done and what is not to be done is very easily appreciated just through common sense, since it is not created by any human being but innately known by all. We call it the order of Ishvara. The people being discussed here transgress these universal ethics and, of course, those that are mentioned in the Shastra. The transgression is considered the hatred of Ishvara, and conversely, following dharma becomes a kind of worship of Ishvara. All ethical people, though they may not recognize Ishvara, are worshippers of Ishvara. Further, those people of Asuri disposition are great cavillers, Abhyasuyakaha. If someone has some virtues, they will try to find and point out some defect. Seeing the merits of others makes them feel small, and to counteract that, they will look for what is lacking in the person. They particularly cannot tolerate the qualities, lifestyle, disciplines, and values of people who are spiritual seekers and who follow dharma. What does Ishvara do with such people? All these people who live a life opposed to dharma and are inimical to the people who are following a life of dharma, Ishvara dispatches them to a life of samsara. It is not that he despises them as they do him, but they have earned these results, which are given to them in full measure. These people who transgress Ishvara's mandate are cruel, krura, and are the lowest of men, naradhamas, because they do not make use of their viveka, capacity to discern what is right and what is wrong. The plural, samsareshu, indicates the many different births they will take, one after the other, ajasram, perpetually. Because they have gathered so many karmas, they cannot fulfill all of them in just one birth, janma. Even if you are born as a human being, it is also samsara. But for some time, these people will be born only in asuri wombs. Asurishu eva yonishu. Because in their human birth, they pounced like tigers and kicked like donkeys, stung like scorpions and gobbled voraciously like varieties of animals, they get a chance to live in a form where they can exhaust that very cruelty. They will become objects of fear. Anything which frightens you legitimately, like a snake, which is poisonous and merciless, is an asuri yoni. As a human being with a capacity to think and choose, I am supposed to heed my conscience and follow dharma. If instead I become a terror for everybody, the law of karma, which is perfect in its justice, will place me in an asuri yoni next time. Therefore, the Lord says, I dispatch them into asuri yonis again and again. Kshipami ajasram asurishu eva yonishu.
This
Asuri,
Asuri Yoni is other than human being, no?
um,
Or it is
it can
included
be human
also,
being
human
also.
beings.
It can be human being also. Because even in the samsara, right? That is,
Because in their human birth, they pounced like tiger and kicked like a donkey, stung like a scorpion, and gobbled voracious like varieties of animal. They get a chance to live in the form where they can exhaust that very cruelty.
yeah, that is the general understanding. But then, even if you are born as a human being, it is also samsara. But for some time, see, because they have gathered so many karmas, they cannot fulfill all of them in just one birth, janma. So even if they are born as human beings, they will be born, these people will be born only in asuri wombs. But for some time, these people will be born only in asuri wombs.
Okay, thanks.
Only in the human form can they express these asuri gunas, isn't it? Otherwise, they're just following. Like a snake is not willingly poisonous. It is by its nature, it is poisonous. Whereas for a human being, he has a choice to do, not to do, or do otherwise. This choice, this discrimination capacity is there only in a human being. So if a human being decides to do otherwise, he is expressing all the asuri gunas then.
Yeah, but he has done so much uh, uh, Asuri gunas, like Papa. He has attained so much Papas. So even if we get the women yoni, he may not be able to um, exhaust that Papa. Therefore, he will be put into that yoni, which is
Asuri yonis. Yeah.
Asuri yoni. So that he can exhaust that in that, then he will get the human body. Then again he has to come up.
Correct. See, how each one takes birth is based on the balance of the papa and punyas. Otherwise, we would not have any asuras. In the very beginning, if you remember, Prajapati, from out of Prajapati came two kinds of people, the devas and the asuras. So human form is also the asuri guna, they also take the human form. It's not just um, below the human forms, not just the animalistic forms.
Yeah, correct,
Isn't it,
correct.
Sarlaji? Right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct, correct.
Otherwise, we will
Because
not have
Asuri
Ravanas.
Gunas, they have
Otherwise,
already
all
said,
human
no?
beings,
There are
devas,
the people, we have the Rakshasi Guna and Asuri Gunas.
yeah,
Correct. So they will get a human yoni also.
also. That
Hmm.
is why we have Ravanas, we have Duryodhanas.
But before getting that human yoni, they will have to exhaust the papas they have amass during the lifetimes, and they have to exhaust that. So there may be many lifetimes of the
Yeah, yeah.
asuri yoni.
Of course,
And
that's
the
it.
birth we get, so that
Ajastra, he
as
says,
a
eternal.
human being is
Mm,
the birth of human is so important to
mm,
clear these all impressions again,
isn't
but
it?
we catch again the different impressions.
That is the snare, how well entrenched we are in ignorance. The
Ajnana.
ajnana, ahankara, and the henchmen, darpa, kama, and krodha.
Because
It
if
happens.
ahankara
It
is there,
happens.
kama and krodha will only come.
Mm. Unfortunate is knowing this, we again get back into the snare of that net. Just imagine you're caught in that net of all of this ahankara, along with its um, accompaniments of kama, krodha, and darpa. You know this is not right, but still, because of the power of ajnana, because of power of ahankara, again and again we get caught up in the samsara helplessly. So to come out of all of that,
तो अहंकार काम क्रोध इज नरकस्य द्वार, ऐसे कहीं तो पढ़ा था ना हमने,
yeah,
यही
we'll
तीन.
come to that now. Yeah.
ओके, सॉरी.
So how
One
living a
question I
life of
have,
alertness is so important.
Jai Gurudev. One question I have, isn't it said that if we are born with a human body once, we will not go back in the lower species? Is it so?
Depends. No, it depends on how you are conducting yourself. No,
But
see, we're
somewhere,
talking.
I don't know, somewhere I read that it is very rare that after evolving to a human species, you will not go into the lower ones,
It is not by default. It depends on how you
karmas.
conduct yourself. It's very evident. No, so if you, it's not like, it's not guaranteed that once you become a human being, you'll be a human being forever, or you will not go down to a lowly form. These very shlokas till now we read are evidence that he will dispatch them to lowly births. This is Bhagavad Gita. I mean, this is the Shastra, isn't it? So
Yeah,
this is
and if they
Right.
know the self, they will be become, means they are mukta. But if they don't and understand this satya, they will be they will come as in a devas, no.
mm, yeah. If they pass away without attaining self knowledge, without recognizing themselves, then they will continue as devas. Yes, they will be born again as human beings. But it depends on whether you've lived a life of dharma, whether you've lived a life pursuing the Shastra. It all depends. It's again at the end of the day, it's your balance scorecard. How much of papa punya you've done.
There was that story of a rishi, no, who got fond of a small deer's
Yeah,
baby, and then he got so attached to it that he came in the next birth as a deer.
as a deer, Bharata,
Yeah, so he
Jada
changed
Bharata.
his yoni. Yeah,
Jada Bharat.
Mm. So these, see, when we learn, when we read a lot of things like Puranas and other scriptures, there may be some statements like this: once a human being, never a human. You'll never not go down. But our reference point again is to cross check the fact, the truth of that is to come to the actual Shastra. And for us, Bhagavad Gita is the gist of all, the summary of all, the essence of all the Upanishads. So when Bhagwan himself is saying this, this will be our reference point, isn't it?
See, he exhausts the Jadabharata, no? He comes as a deer and exhausts that this one because Jadabharata was knowledgeable. He was knowing that he is born, and when he comes again as a human being, he uh, uh, he doesn't act. Means he is not lazy, but he doesn't act because he was knowing if he again. Um, so he was very silent, and whatever work he was been given, he was doing it just mechanically. He was knowing that I have to pass this. So therefore, he was called Jadabharata. He was not means he was not lazy. See, there are people who are lazy who doesn't do anything, but this Jadabharata Rishi was very knowledgeable, and he was knowing that if he acts anything, again he may go back. Therefore, whatever karma he has to do, prarabdha, he just accepted it. Somebody called, you come here, he used to go. And he will, like that, no, he teaches the king. So he was called Jada Bharata. Such a beautiful knowledges are there. And I mean, stories are there, so which reveals the uh, possibility of how to grow and how to be, how to act. These Puranas, Thank you.
Continue. If instead, so therefore the Lord says, I dispatch them into Asuri yonis again and again. Kshipami ajasram asurishu eva yonishu. Asurim yonimapanna mudha janmani janmani mama prapyaiva kaunteya tato yantyadhamangatim. Arjuna, these who lack discrimination, obtaining the womb of an asura in every birth, certainly not reaching me, go to an end that is even lower than that. These are people who lack discrimination, even with reference to what is to be done and what is not to be done. Such people obtain births in the wombs of asuras, not once, but repeatedly, because they have gathered so much papa that one birth is not enough to exhaust it. Thus, they are born as carnivorous animals or some other form in which tamas is predominant in order to experience cruelty. In such forms, there is no viveka. The tiger does not think it is cruel, nor does it want to change. This type of discrimination is the privilege of a human being, which they did not exercise in their human births, and therefore they keep going to lower and lower wombs where there is no viveka. This goes on for some time until all the consequences of their wrongdoings are exhausted. Because of their behavior in their human birth, there is no question of gaining Ishvara. Shankara says there is no suspicion or a doubt that they do not gain Ishvara. He is far out of reach for these people. First, they have to begin to follow Dharma. which is enjoined by Ishvara and found in the Veda. At this point, they are lost in other ways. And in order to create a dispassion towards such tendencies, Krishna says they go to a still worse end. Tatah adhamam gatim yanti. These are the general features of an asura's nature, though among them there are many differences in their manifest behavior. One might be predominantly cruel, another more disruptive, but all of them have three basic things. All of the manifold manifestations of an asuri disposition can be avoided if these three things are taken care of. They are the root cause of all that is undesirable, anartha. Krishna enumerates them in the next verse and asks one to avoid them. त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं द्वारं नाशनमात्मनः कामः क्रोधस्तथा लोभः तस्मातेतत्त्रयं त्यजेत्. This doorway to Naraka, or painful experiences, which destroys a person, is threefold: desire, anger, and also greed. Therefore, one should give up this triad. The threefold doorway to Naraka. Naraka is any experience of pain. One can enter it through any one of these three doors, dwara, all of which are the destroyer of a person. Atmanah Nashanam. Shankara says that just entering into this gate, you will find you are destroyed. It is like stepping into a trap. It swallows you up immediately. As an animal is caught in a trap by baiting it with what it likes, a human being is caught and destroyed by these three things. He is destroyed in the sense that his mind is so disturbed that he is no longer fit for any purushartha, leave alone moksha. Even the simple sukha that he had hoped to get is lost because of these three. Kama, a binding desire or longing for something, is what makes one enter into the trap. Once this is there, anger, krodha, and greed, lobha, necessarily follow. Conversely, if you can manage kama, passion, then anger and greed are automatically taken care of. If you are able to take care of your anger, you will find that kama can be contained. You can deal with it effectively. Greed is mentioned lastly, because when there is greed, anger is unavoidable. But if the greed is taken care of, anger can be taken care of, and later the karma too. It is important to discern where greed begins and a simple binding desire ends. A desire is binding if its non-fulfillment makes you angry. We have to discover where the greed begins. If there is something that you do not need, that you can manage easily without, and you want it anyway, that is greed. In fulfilling a desire, if one crosses the way of dharma, that desire itself becomes greed.
Can you read it again? 3, 4 lines,
Yeah.
that last.
Greed is mentioned lastly because when there is greed, anger is unavoidable. But if the greed is taken care of, anger can be taken care of, and later the karma too. It is important to discern where greed begins and a simple binding desire ends. A desire is binding if in its non-fulfillment if its non-fulfillment makes you angry. That is a simple binding desire. We have to discover where the greed begins. If there is something that you do not need, that you can manage easily without, and you want it anyway, that is greed. In fulfilling a desire, if one crosses the way of dharma, that desire itself becomes greed. So it is not required, but you still want it. You're hungry and you want to satisfy your hunger, and you want some particular food, that is a binding desire. Whereas the greed is you're already finished eating. You don't need to eat anymore, but you still want to eat. That becomes greed. And in fulfilling that desire, if especially you go against dharma, that becomes greed. Because you want it anyway. It's like that go-getter. No matter what, you want to get it. All three of these, desire, anger, and greed, are portals to painful experiences, and therefore the cause for self-destruction. Atmanah nashanam. No intelligent person wants to get destroyed. So naturally, one should give up these three. Etat trayam tyajet. If you can manage these, the rest of the Asuri Sampat will be taken care of. The description of the Asuri Sampat is given in such detail here that it may seem overwhelming, and therefore Krishna reduces the whole thing to Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Even these three can be reduced to Kama, because in the final analysis, that is the root cause of all anarthas. One has to give them up. But how? They are not something I can give up. They are me. Therefore, I require prayer, certain disciplines, and also inquiry, vichara, in order to give these up. Cognitively, I can change my priorities so that what seems big assumes an appropriate proportion. This is how we grow. When, as a child, my balloon burst or deflated, it was a big problem for me. But now it does not bother me at all, because I have become mature with reference to balloons. When my stock crashes, however, it is a huge problem. We even find people committing suicide or having heart attacks because of stock fluctuations. From this, it is very clear that our problem is karma. By vichara, we can surely help ourselves to grow out of it, since we have grown out of so many things. By prasada buddhi, as we have seen, our raga dveshas, otherwise called kama, can be neutralized. If that is effective, krodha and lobha are automatically taken care of, because they do not arise when there is no kama. The giving up of these three is praised in the next verse. Etairvimukta kaunteya tamodvarairstribhirnaraha आचरत्यात्मनः श्रेयः ततो याति parangatim. A man who is free from these three gates to darkness, Arjuna, follows what is good for himself. Because of that, he reaches the higher end. One free from kama, krodha, and lobha goes towards Shreyas. Naraka is called darkness, tamas, here because it is a place where viveka is obscured. So there is delusion and therefore pain. In Ishavasyopanishad, it is said, those people who are self-destructive go to the worlds called Asurya, As, Asurya, that are covered with the darkness of a blind man. Ishavasyopanishad, Shloka 3. It means there is a predominance of delusion and therefore no sukha. If the individual becomes a rat, what viveka will he have? The capacity to think and understand is all very rudimentary, and this is what is figuratively called the darkness of a blind man. Where there is no viveka, the mind is altogether different. It has the advantage of not having the problems that we have, but then it also cannot read a line. If you throw a book, even the Gita, before a donkey, it will eat the whole thing. It has only food value for it. Similarly, if you load a donkey with sandalwood, it carries only the load, not the sandalwood. Bharasya vahi natu chandanasya, because it has no appreciation of its value. This is aviveka. In such births, where there is such limited viveka, there is also no sukha. And kama, krodha, and lobha are the gates to enter into such situations. The person Nara, discussed in this verse, is totally free with reference to these three gates to pain. Nara means a human being. By definition, he is the one who does not get destroyed. Na riyate iti naraha. This very definition tells you that he is the imperishable Atma. This Nara, if he is not assailed by Kama, Krodha, and Lobha, he is able to use his Viveka and therefore lives a life of proper conduct. That is, lives a life that will lead him to his ultimate good. Shreyo Margam Acharati. In contrast to the path of the self-destruction, Atmanaha Nashanam of the previous verse, this person follows a course of action which is good for oneself. Atmanaha Shreyas Acharati. Here the word Shreyas means the path of Shreyas, Shreyo Marga. Only then will it connect with the verb Acharati. This is possible because he is free from the inhibiting factors of Kama, Krodha, and Lobha that previously impelled him to do wrong actions. When one is dissipating all one's energies through these three, what viveka can he have? He has no time to think properly. Even to begin to free oneself from Kama, Krodha, and Lobha, one must have some viveka. Then, once the process has begun, he does not have to be taught that it is good for him, because he now enjoys an inner leisure that was previously denied to him, all because of Viveka. To have Kama, Krodha, and Lobha is very natural. Every child is in touch with all of them. To be free of them, however, requires a lot of Viveka. With sufficient viveka, a person can pursue what is good, shreyas for him, whether it be artha, kama, dharma, or moksha. All are good for him, no doubt, but the real shreyas is moksha. Security, artha, for example, is not going to be found in gaining and protecting things that must inevitably be lost. The real security is not being afraid of anything, and that is only moksha. Similarly, if we analyze the pursuits of karma and dharma, we see that they are only really fulfilled in moksha. It is the real purushartha that is behind every pursuit. Previously, kama, krodha, and lobha were shackling him so much that he could not pursue any purushartha successfully. When your hands are shackled, how can you even scratch yourself properly? But now he is free, vimukta, and is able to follow proper conduct. Because of that, tataha, he gains the most desirable end, yati parangatim, which Shankara says can even be moksha. Once he is not bound by kama, krodha, and lobha, if he is able to discern that what he is seeking is moksha, he can certainly accomplish that. If, however, one is not able to gain mastery over these three, they bring undesirable ends. What is the cause for his giving up these three and all the asuri sampat and following what is good for himself, the path of dharma and moksha? The next verse tells us that Shastra indicates what is to be done and what is not to be done, what is for one's own good shreyas and what will bring suffering, dukkha. And it is also the means for moksha. The next verse also talks about what happens if one does not look to the Shastra for these matters. यशास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य यशास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिमवाप्नोति न सुखं न पराङ्गतिम्. The one who, being impelled by binding desire, engages himself, casting away the injunctions of Shastra, gains neither maturity nor happiness here, nor a higher end. One who casts away the injunctions of the Shastra gains no Purushartha. This is a person who is completely given to binding desires, and because of that, Kamakarataha, he lives his life Vartate, totally committed to their fulfillment, but without regard for the injunction Vidhi of Shastra. Shastra here means the Veda, our source of knowledge of what is to be done and what is not to be done. It contains both positive statements of what to do and negative ones of what to avoid. These are its vidhis. Even though we have innate common sense knowledge of universal do's and don'ts, we do not know all the consequences involved in heeding or ignoring our common sense norms of behavior. Shastra becomes very important here in letting us know the consequences of our actions. Even if a wrong action is not detected or punished here, the perpetrator does not escape the law of karma. So says the Shastra. Here we have a person who has cast away the dictates of Shastra and is driven purely by his karma. He does not gain siddhi. Saha na siddhim avapnoti. Siddhi here, Shankara says, is fitness for the pursuit of what is good for a person. Purushartha yogyata. This is maturity. The first accomplishment for a human being is the capacity to take proper care of himself. The second is education, in which he acquires an intellectual discipline and a certain emotional discipline. This is not an ordinary thing. If you have survived teenage without damage, that is one of the greatest things you can ever accomplish in life. It is such a difficult age. If you make proper use of it, you can gain the capacity to pursue any of the ends considered good for a person. Artha, Kama, Dharma, or Moksha. For pursuing any Purushartha, maturity is necessary. If one disregards the injunctions of Shastra, it is just not possible to gain this maturity. And when there is no maturity, it is not possible to have any worthwhile pursuit or accomplishment in life. When this is so, there is not going to be any happiness, na sukham, in this life. To have sukha, you have to be mature. Otherwise, any small thing will upset you. Not only will there be no sukha in this world, you will not gain a better end, paragati, whether it is heaven or moksha. In youth, all your faculties are at their peak. It is the time when you can learn and remember so well. Once it is gone, you do not get it back. So it is important to make proper use of it. Later, you will be busy earning and doing 100 different things. If you dissipate your energies in sense pursuits at this time, later, all you will remember is your hurts and disappointments and feel that you've accomplished nothing. By the time you reach your 40s, you will feel that you are finished. Without gaining intellectual and emotional maturity, the very sukha that you are so assiduously pursuing is denied. What a bad bargain. Therefore, the Gita Charya wants us to gain mastery over these three asuri tendencies, kama, krodha, and lobha, which are in everybody's heart in different degrees, not only in those of the asuras. Tasmat shastram pramanam te कार्याकार्यव्यवस्थितौ ज्ञात्वा शास्त्रविधानोक्तं कर्म कर्तुमिहार्हसि. Therefore, Shastra is the means of knowledge for you, Arjuna, in the determination of what is to be and not to be done. Knowing what is said by the mandates of the Shastra, you are obliged to perform action here in this world. Shastra is the pramana for proper conduct. Shastra, meaning the Veda, is a pramana not only for Arjuna but for everybody. Pramana is a means of knowledge, not, as it is often translated, a guide or authority. The word itself reveals the meaning. Prama, Karanam, Pramanam. That which is instrumental in giving rise to Prama, knowledge, is Pramana. What kind of knowledge? The knowledge required in determining what is to be done and what is to be done in a given situation. What is not to be done in a given situation. Whenever I want to know whether it is proper for me to do something or not, what kind of prayers I have to do, when, and the method of doing them, how much wealth I can have, and how much I should distribute, and so on, I will find it told in the injunctions of the Shastra. Shastra Vidhana Uktam. A Vidhana is what is mandated or enjoined. For example, it is said by the Shastra, do not hurt, himsam na kuryat, and do not speak falsehood, anritam na bruyat. And the karma for each varna and ashrama is very clearly mentioned in the Shastra. But today, because of the breakdown of those systems, we have to convert these injunctions with reference to varna and ashrama into what is to be done and not to be done in general. Shastra tells us one's actions attract punya and papa, which are the adrishta phalas, and therefore one has to be mindful of one's actions. Here, iha, in this world, you stand to do karma. Karma kartu arhasi. The mention of iha here is to draw attention to the fact that on this earth, as a human being, you have the freedom to act or not to act. In other words, like heaven, Swarga, on the other hand, you do not have this freedom. In other worlds like heaven, Swarga, on the other hand, you do not have this freedom. You do not have this freedom. You can only exhaust karma. You cannot do more karma and gather punya or papa. Even on this planet, there are shades of difference in that India is considered a better place to gather karma phala, a karma bhumi, while the United States of America is looked upon as a place where one predominantly experiences the result of karma, a bhoga bhum. But everywhere on this planet, as human beings, we do enjoy the freedom to choose our action and learn. In Gandharva Loka, on the other hand, all the time is passed in enjoyment of music. What can one learn there? This human birth in which we have that freedom is very rare and precious. And that freedom to learn and do karma and earn karma phala here in this world is to be used, not abused. If you analyze the Shastra, this is the essence of what it says about actions. Knowing the karma that the Shastra has enjoined, you stand to do it. Kartum arhasi. Thus, Bhagavan concludes this chapter in which he talks about Daivi Sampat and Asuri Sampat, and concludes by telling Arjuna that he should always go by the Shastra in deciding what is to be done and what is not to be done. Om
Jai Guru.
Yes.
In Gandharva Yoni, it is not possible. But sometimes Gurudev has said, no, these all artists and big um, kalakars are Gandharva Yonis. So for them, is it not possible? Or this Gandharva Loka is something different we are reading here?
I think it is these all these singers, they have a hand of the Gandharva, like some Gandharva is guiding them. They have some blessing of Gandharva. That is why they are singing so well. Those Gandharva are the guiding angels for them. So it is not that they will not get yeah. This is what I heard somewhere.
This Gandharva Loka they're talking of, Swamiji is talking of, is the other Loka. It is not in the human form. It is not these singers who have who are not the good
artists.
singers.
They are
Yeah.
not artists,
Yeah.
but they are from that. They are the grace. They have a grace of Gandharva.
Yeah, that is true. Because in the Gandharva Loka, all the time is passed in enjoyment of the music and arts and whatever. See, forget about all that. Here, the importance of human birth is emphasized. How precious this human birth is. Gurudev has also mentioned Devas, they don't have that capacity to gain punya. Swarga is only a place of exhausting your punya. That's it. And we've learned also in the previous chapters, once in that Brahmaloka also, once you exhaust your punya, you will have to drop down into some other yoni. So it is only in the human birth, human life, that one can attain moksha. This was what was very clearly mentioned in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, the Gita home study. It is only in the human form.
I think it is said after exhausting the punya, they come to the yoni only. Human beings. We have to clarify this which yoni, but it's okay. But just inquiry.
No.
Yeah, only human birth. Only human birth can relieve you from all these,
that is true.
including Gandharva, Kinnar, kuch bhi, kidhar bhi jao, you have to come back to human form, this in our loka. And then only you can transcend it with knowledge, with guru and everything. All practices, sadhana, seva, everything. So we are the most fortunate ones. Here, Brahmaraji, Savitaji, everybody, Suresh Bhaiya, I just want to, it's out of context, but still, I think so. All these other lokas also, they were like left, right, center. They are showering the blessings to Modi ji, it seems. Maybe I am so much like spaced out kind of last 2-3 days. But if someone can little bit explain the unseen part of it or subtler aspects of it, uh, it would be very relevant, I feel so. Sorry. Because such a huge thing, it's beyond human capacity. Whatever has happened in 500 years, I think so. All other lokas also were in full support uh, to have this whole
I think
thing which
right time
happened.
and right efforts, no? It is said, no, right time. At right time it will happen.
It's a culmination of many things acting towards a single goal, starting from his own Purusharth and then the Kal and then the grace of God and his desire, strong desire. So everything was acting. And the is most important, I think, is the Kal. Until unless the Kal is not favorable, nothing can happen. Of course, with his grace. So he must have been earning some. He is that soul, that must have acquired all the
मेरे इच्छा के बिना पत्ता भी नहीं हिल सकता ऐसे
all the
कहते हैं ना
merits. No, but he was the chosen one. No, he acquired all the merits in his lifetime, and how he raised himself from the lower strata and just moved on. All that Purusharth he had done at all levels, physical, mental, spiritual.
Tapasya also.
Yeah,
Because
that is
when he
tapo.
speaks, no, when he speaks, no, you can make it that he is not speaking. Like you can easily make it out that beyond the human capacities, he is doing. He is even speaks anything. It is somebody else is speaking through him. You can like how we feel, no, when one or the other time, definitely when we sit on that Vyaspeeth, something we speak beyond our capacities, our small mind, our small intellect. So
He's a
it
tapasvi
was very
basically, na?
obvious.
He is a tapasvi.
As a teacher, you might have experienced it many times if you are a teacher, okay, you feel you you feel the presence of Guruji and then speak, and whatever relevant to that group, that knowledge only will come out from your mouth. That experience happens to all the teachers. You can tell.
Yes.
You know. See,
In
once
fact, we
first
ourselves also
time,
hear to ourselves. हम ही
yeah,
अपने आप को सुनते हैं हम क्या बोले जा रहे हैं.
just I will tell the experience which I had after my completion of TTC. Immediately, 1 week after that, I got a chance to teach. Here they had arranged 60 lower means strata of the people in this group, or some not so educated or one. 60 ladies were there. And one teacher told me, I am not able to do it, and you start. And that was my first class. And I told I need a help of a senior teacher, and senior teacher came with me. He also came. But he told, you lead. I started, and the first I was about to the 7 stages, and I forgot one. And I just, can anyone tell? Can anyone tell? I just tell. And one lady, she got up and told that, you know, so beautiful. You will be guided. You will be guided if you are on that path. Rest assured that inner strength will come automatic. And that strength you see in Modi. He is connected with the higher power, divine, and that those things which has to be told will come automatically through his mouth. I have seen many times what are the words he uses, so beautiful. All knowledge is there in that. Once we are one with the Atma, and he is surely.
So his personal sankalpa, purusha, tapasya, and collective consciousness also was in that direction.
Yes.
And Pitar Yoni and all Yonis, everybody, because our own ancestors, they were struggling so much for this Ram Janmabhoomi, isn't it? So many of our own family members, our grandfathers and all. So everybody's this thing was there behind. But he had that, he has developed that through tapasya to hold the whole thing single-handedly, which is like amazing, awesome.
Each one
Bhavya,
of us,
bhavya.
like how what Gurudev says, each one of us has the potential to become an enlightened soul, a Buddha, a Siddha. It is only to what extent is our Purushartha, how strong is our Purushartha, with how much of commitment are you following it? So that becomes a question. And not everybody could become Arjuna, right? Why was Bhagavad Gita given only to Arjuna? Because he was eligible, he was qualified for that. He asked the
Isn't
right
it like a
question,
Siddhas also?
the right attitude.
Yeah.
So
So,
maybe what we'll do, I think we had talked about this earlier also. I will check whether, I'm not sure how many of you have watched the Modi movie, which is very inspirational. Prem has it downloaded. Maybe one day we can all online can kind of watch it maybe. But for now, let's conclude this chapter. Let's not get little
Which is that movie?
track. Let's get back on track to where we were, and of course draw a lot of inspiration, no doubt. But let's not forget um, the commitment that we have for Shastra Pramam. Otherwise, we can get very laid astray, no? So it's important for us to build those little, should I say, banks, so that our commitment stays towards this knowledge and this wisdom, so that we don't get astray. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yogo Nama Shodashodhyayaha. The subject matter of which is knowledge of Brahman and also yoga is the 16th chapter known as Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, in which the becoming and the unbecoming dispositions are described. Om Tat Sat. Atha Srimad Bhagavad Gita Saptadashodhyayaha Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yogaha which is what we'll see tomorrow. We'll begin with the 17th chapter, and we will conclude now. I will play the Nirvana Shatakam after the Shanti Mantra. Right? Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu.
मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कार चित्तानिनाहम् न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायुः न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोशः न वाक्पाणिपादौ न चोपस्थपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदोर्नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञः अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मे न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभुर्व्याप्य सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां सदा मे समत्वं न मुक्तिर्न बन्धः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम्